Okay, so American Horror Story episodes 9, 10 and 11 of series 1. So here's the deal. A while back I tried to do this review. Quite a few days ago. It might have been last week, I can't remember. But I tried to do this review way before I watched episode 11. So at the time I was reviewing episodes 9 and 10 together, as I hadn't seen episode 11 yet. However, the review wasn't too good. I mean, it was 45 minutes long, and the length, I'm fine with that, long reviews. I'll just talk about something for however long I can go on for about it. So, it's not as if, because I was going on for 45 minutes bothered me. It's just that, when I was watching it back, I kind of rambled on for a bit too long at some points. I mean, I know a lot of the time I do kind of ramble on and kind of repeat myself a few times a lot in my other reviews, but in this review I kind of did it more than usual. So I've decided to basically do a remake of that review. And now I've finally gotten round to doing the review. This is after the airing of episode 11. So, well, I've seen episode 11 now, so this is going to be a review of the 3 episodes. So you got episode 9, 10 and 11, and then episode 12 is, well, that's going to be shown on Mondays, and that's the last episode as well. Okay, so on with the review. So episode 9, watched this very long time ago. I can't remember too much about it. Yeah, I just can't remember too much about it, so I might get a few things wrong when I'm talking about the story. And maybe if I had seen it more recently, I would remember more stuff about it, and thus I could talk more about it. But I haven't seen it for a few weeks now, so I can't really remember much about it. But of course I've written down a few notes here to help me along. So the episode was more of a character episode. It was more about developing the characters rather than progressing the story. I didn't mind that. I'm fine with that. I mean, the reason I hated The Walking Dead, or I better not do that. When I was doing the old review where I was rambling on, I did end up bitching about how shitty The Walking Dead is for about 5 minutes. So about 5 minutes of the review was me just bashing The Walking Dead. I really hate that show. Well, the first series ranged from okay to shitty, but the second one's been horrible so far. Anyway, let's get back to American Horror Story before I go on a little rant there. Okay, so more of a character episode. There weren't too much major plot points, so it didn't really have the story moving forward too much, but it doesn't have to. I mean, I don't mind. Developing the character's fine too. Yeah, because of course they heavily developed Ben's character, I guess, and Hayden, like their relationship, and yeah. But yeah, it was still a good episode. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm fine with the character stuff, you know. This review is gonna have spoilers all the way throughout, so leave right now if you don't want a spoiler. So of course, really the only major plot point was Travis getting killed, and also Constance finding out that one of the babies was Tatum's. So they were really the only 2 major plot points of the episode. And of course, even when you're watching the episode, Travis getting killed by Hayden wasn't really a major thing. I mean, Travis was really more of a side character. He wasn't really too important. But of course, his death is what sparks the events of episode 10. I'm trying to remember the episode numbers here. But basically, Travis's death in episode 9 sparks the series of events in episode 10, and then they use that storyline to kill off a character. Well, they don't kill off the character. I'll get to that later. But Travis's death didn't really seem too important at the time. But of course, when I go around to watching episode 10, that's when I realised that, well, his death was more important than it seemed. Of course, like they always throw things in like earlier episodes that build up to bigger moments later on in episodes. I always like that sort of stuff. It's kind of like, one really minor example I can think of is in episode 7, Marcy pulls out a gun on Larry in the first scene, and Vivian sees this happen. So this is the first time we as the audience ever see the gun, so, and it's the same for Vivian as well. So us, the audience, and Vivian learn in this scene that Marcy has a gun. And then of course in episode 8, Vivian's kind of having a mental breakdown and she's getting really paranoid. And because she knows Marcy has the gun from episode 7, in episode 8 she manages to steal the gun from Marcy. She like lures Marcy over the house to rob the gun off her. I just like little moments like that where they kind of build up to something bigger in the like later episodes. And of course Vivian stealing the gun led up to her shooting Ben on accident. Stuff like that. I always appreciate the moments which lead up to bigger moments later on in the other episodes. So Travis's death was a thing which kind of caught me off guard, because I really wasn't expecting it to be like, I was expecting it not to ever be brought up again, but when you stop and think about it, it kind of does make you think, well, Constance would be a bit worried about Travis when she finds out he doesn't return. But yeah, so yeah, there you go. And so about Travis, I really liked his reaction to being dead, and yeah, just being dead. Because as soon as Hayden kills him, pretty much as soon as she kills him, he kind of instantly becomes a ghost. And he's just I just really liked his reaction to being dead. He was so laid back and calm about it. He's just like, whoa man, Constance was right. And it's just the way he speaks and stuff, I really like that. I thought he was a fun character. I mean, we haven't gotten to see much of his character. He's kind of sympathetic with the way he treated Addie in the earlier episodes. But that's really the only time we ever saw him throughout the series. And now he's becoming more of a important character. But yeah, Travis's reaction to being dead was great. And the special effects in this episode were okay. I mean, finding the body and Travis's body, because of course, oh yeah, so the Black Dahlia murder, I thought it was really, I'm not sure if I pronounced that right by the way, the Black Dahlia murder, Dahlia, or I'm just going to call it Dahlia, I think that's how you pronounce it. But I really liked how they incorporated the Black Dahlia murder into the storyline of American Horror Story. I thought that was pretty cool. And the special effects on the two bodies, so of course the surgeon cuts up Travis's body and the girl's body at the start of the episode, and both bodies are discovered by people walking down the street. Well, the body, the dummies or whatever they used, the special effects look great. I mean, you only see the bodies for like a few seconds, but I thought they looked great. So props for some decent special effects. You know, the Joker smile and the body's been split in half and stuff. It just looked good. So I got, you know, I'll praise the special effects there. One thing I wasn't really too fond of, it didn't majorly piss me off or make me dislike the episode or anything. Just a little thing I like to point out. Like, it didn't detract majorly from the episode or anything. It's just the special effects when Hayden stabs Travis. I just thought they were kind of cheap. Just her stabbing him in the back, I don't know. I just didn't think it looked too good, but it's not anything major. I didn't really mind it, just an observation. Okay, and please first, hang on, I got something written down here and I'm trying to figure out what do I mean by that. Oh yeah, okay, so one scene I thought was pretty good, it was pretty suspenseful, was when the police showed up. Well, not the police, the cop shows up at the house along with Hayden's sister, because this kind of raises an interesting point that I never really thought about. So Hayden was pregnant with Ben's baby, and then she goes to find Ben, and well, Larry kills her in episode 3. So it kind of makes raises up the question, why isn't Hayden's family wondering where she's gone? And of course in this episode they kind of resolve this question. It was a question that I never really thought about, but I thought it was cool they kind of answered this question anyway in this episode, because of course the sister obviously knew that Hayden was pregnant with Ben's baby, so she goes to the house, gets a cop with her, and they're both suspicious that Ben's killed Hayden, which isn't too far off the truth. But I just thought that was a really suspenseful scene. As soon as they walked into the kitchen and the tension quickly escalated, I thought they could have dragged the scene out for a lot longer than they actually did, because you're kind of sitting there kind of already on the edge of your seat, because you know that the sister's going to be suspicious of Ben. But as soon as she reveals that she knows that Hayden was pregnant with Ben's baby, the tension just suddenly escalates. Yeah, just really escalates all of a sudden, very, very sharply. So, but then all of a sudden, as soon as the tension goes up, so as soon as like the cop and Hayden's sister, they're both verbally attacking Ben, confronting him with all this evidence that links him to Hayden's disappearance. The tension is really just rising so suddenly, and you're really on the edge of your seat wondering what the hell's going to happen next. And you're just like, oh, Ben is screwed. Because that's what I was thinking. I was like, Ben's going to jail right here on the spot. I had no idea what was going to happen. And of course, Hayden steps out to save the day. And of course, so she steps out and she's like, oh, I'm not dead. And the cop and the sister, they're fine with it. And they leave. I just thought they could have dragged that scene out for a lot longer. Have the conversation between Ben, the cop, and Hayden's sister go on for a bit longer. And then have Hayden show up. Because when they start talking about Hayden being pregnant with Ben's baby, and then Hayden kind of just shows up at that point and the tension is just resolved right there. I just thought they could have dragged the scene out for a bit longer. But it was still a great scene. And it's probably the highlight of the episode. Like, the highlight of the episode would probably be that, as well as Constance finding out that Vivian is pregnant with Tatum's baby. They're probably the two major plot points of the episode. Well, sorry, I'd like to retract that statement. The cop and Hayden's sister showing up at the house wasn't a major plot point. Allow me to rephrase that. Those two scenes are my favourite scenes of the episode, I would say. As well as Travis being killed. So one last thing, I think, yeah. Okay, so what I do, the trailers... Okay, so at the end of every episode, they obviously show the trailer for the next episode. And I guess the US does this as well, I guess. The UK certainly does it. But when they show the trailer for the next episode at the end of every episode, the trailers... what I've noticed is that the UK trailers are different to the US trailers. So, when I'm finished watching a UK trailer, so I watch the episode and then the trailer for the next episode comes up. So I sit through the credits to watch it, obviously. And then as soon as that is done, this is kind of like my routine after watching American Horror Story. After I watch the trailer, after the ending credits of the episode, I go upstairs, I go onto my laptop, and then I just watch the US trailer for the same episode on YouTube. Because they always have like different footage of the next episode. I also get to see well, you know, just a bunch of footage, two like sets of footage from the next episode. They kind of satisfy my fix. I don't know, to get my fix for American Horror Story. So for this one, when I watched the UK trailer, because Larry didn't appear in episode 8, yeah, episode 8 at all. Larry didn't, and of course he's my favourite character, and he didn't appear in episode 8 at all. But in episode 9, he appeared for like a second. And the thing is, with episode 8, because we hadn't seen Larry at all, I was kind of wanting, of course I was kind of getting restless, and I've been waiting for him to appear. So I was really disappointed with the UK trailer, because in the UK, so I was sitting through the UK trailer waiting for them to show Larry for like a split second or something, but he wasn't in the trailer, so I was kind of down about it, and I was thinking, oh, Larry isn't going to be in the next episode, so I was kind of down about that. But when I watched the US trailer, they show Larry for a split second kind of hanging around the side of the building. They show him in the trailer for a split second, so then I was kind of excited more for the next episode. But when I finally got to watch this episode, I was kind of disappointed because he doesn't appear in the episode. Well, he does appear in the episode, but only for like a split second, literally. Well, 5 seconds to be exact. Because, and my reaction to the scene is because Hayden kills Travis, and of course she's trying to defend Ben. I guess she doesn't want him to go to prison. So, the doctor, the surgeon guy, he steps out and offers to cut up the body to make it more portable. And he's kind of like, if you know somebody who could transport the body, I could make it a lot easier for them. And Hayden's kind of like, yeah, someone owes me a favour. And at that point I was just like, yes, you know, Larry's about to appear. So I was kind of getting really excited at that moment. But then all of a sudden it cuts from Hayden in the basement to some guys playing basketball, and of course they find Travis's body already cut up and stuff. And then the camera kind of pans over the shoulder to reveal Larry in the background with his crispy face. And that's all he appears. That's the only time he appears in the episode. He just appears for 5 seconds around the corner. And of course, they're clearly implying he's the one who dumped the body there. So I was just disappointed that he didn't appear too much. Yeah, that's it. Of course, it's not a bad thing. It's just my favourite character, so I always love talking about him. I just wish they had a scene where Hayden was kind of telling him to transport the body. So like calling him, like just saying, you know, you owe me a favour, go ditch this body somewhere away from the house. I just wish we had a scene where she just told him that. But the thing is, this show is pretty fast paced, so they don't like beating around the bush a lot, and they just like kind of moving things along as fast as they can. So I understand why they didn't have that scene, because it's just unnecessary. I mean, you as the audience, it's just so obvious to assume Larry is the one who did it. I mean, they didn't even have to show you the guys finding the body on the streets. Like, you could just assume that Larry did it anyway, because it's pretty obvious. But even then, I would have loved to see some action between Hayden and Larry. But whatever, it's not a complaint. I'm just saying I would have liked to see that. And that's all I have for episode 9. Great episode. More of a character episode. No, I don't mind. I like the characters are interesting. So it's great to learn more about them. And yeah, there you go. That's episode 9. So episode 10. Yeah, okay, so off the top of my head, the opening scene is what I'm going to talk about first. It was great to see a scene where Larry, Constance, Addie and Tatum were all interacting with each other. Like the craziest characters of the show, all in one scene, just interacting with each other. That was just great fun to watch. And of course we find out the truth behind Larry. The truth behind his burns, why half of his body's been burnt. And this is because this is kind of weird as well, because in episode 7 we find out that Larry lied about killing his wife and kids, and it turns out they committed suicide and he didn't kill them. And of course, so the wife covered herself and the daughters in gasoline and then threw down a match and burned herself alive with her kids. And Larry kind of witnesses this because he throws open the door and sees them burning to death. So but then the scene ends, like that's what we see of his backstory. We see him screaming while watching his kids and his wife burn to death in the fire. But then the scene just ends there. So I kind of assumed that's how he got the burns. I assumed that he ran into the fire and tried to drag his burning wife and kids out of the fire. But I guess he was too late and they died anyway. But of course, while he was trying to save them, he would be in the fire, obviously. So he got the burns then. That's how I assumed he got the burns. But of course, this episode revealed how he actually got the burns, and I thought that was pretty cool how he got the burns. Of course, you would have left if you don't care about spoilers by now. But of course, we find out that Tatum is responsible for the burns. He just covers him in gasoline in the office and just throws the match at him. That was just a great scene. I just thought it was very well shot. I mean, the final shot of Tatum walking away, and then in the corner, over Tatum's shoulder, in the background, you can see Larry screaming, like lit on fire, and he's just running around his office aimlessly. I just thought that was a really cool shot. I thought it was really funny as well because I did notice this right before the shot cuts off. On the left side of the screen, you can just see some guy standing there. I think he had a cup of coffee in his hand or whatever. But the guy was just standing there staring at Larry burning to death. So you have Tatum walking over his shoulder in the background. You can see Larry burning to death, and, well, not to death, but burning in his office. And then on the left hand side of the screen, you can just see some guy standing there with a cup of coffee, watching Larry burning. I just thought that was pretty funny. And I also like the moment where, so you just have Larry walking away, Tatum walking away from Larry burning, and then it just cuts to the opening titles immediately. So you kind of have Larry screaming. So that's kind of the sound you're hearing, just Larry screaming, and then all of a sudden it just cuts off, and then you get to hear the kick-ass music for the opening titles, and of course the opening titles just start playing. So you kind of it just cuts to the opening titles. So it just cuts from Tatum walking away from Larry burning to the opening titles just instantly. I just really like that moment where it just slammed to the opening titles all of a sudden, and then you get the kick-ass music playing. I just thought that was a really cool moment. I really liked that. And the special effects were awesome as well. I did see the behind the scenes footage on YouTube, and they actually lit a stuntman on fire. And like, that's not much of an achievement. I mean, they do this in films and TV shows all over the time. But I'm just saying I'm glad and I appreciate they didn't use CGI or some sort of camera trick. Because obviously if they used some sort of camera trick or CGI, it could have ended up looking really fake. But I'm just saying, I'm glad they actually lit someone on fire for this scene. And it ended up looking really good. Of course it would. If you're actually lighting someone on fire, of course it's going to look good. But yeah, that's great. So that's what I have to say about the opening scene. Any scene with Larry is awesome, and just finding out how he got the scars and the fact that Tatum is actually responsible. Just finding out that was awesome. I really liked that. Okay, next point. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, this is great. So like I said about before, but this is just kind of strengthens my point. I've said this a few times before, but I can give you even more examples just to emphasize my point. It's just this show is very balanced with how much it shows of each character. I mean, episode 8 was heavily focused on Vivian. But then episode 9, I believe, yeah, episode 9, very, very heavily focused on Ben. Like, extremely heavily focused on Ben. And then here you have episode 11, and now it's focusing on Larry and Constance and Tatum and Vivian. They're pretty much the only characters in the episode. I mean, Ben appears for like 2 scenes, and Vivian literally appears for 1 scene, like literally 1 scene. So they're just like balancing the screen times every character has. So I'm just saying, it's just great that they're doing that. Yeah, so just wanted to say that. Yeah, okay, so this is one thing. I don't remember much about the US trailer, but in the UK trailer, they teased the scene where Ben is fighting Tatum in the rubber man suit, in the rubber suit. They're really showcasing that scene, making it out to be something really big, like a really game-changing moment, where they keep showing Ben and Tatum fighting each other, and Tatum's in the rubber suit. They showed that a lot in the UK trailer, and they kind of made it out to be the major set piece of the episode, and it kind of was the set piece of the episode. But it just wasn't as, I was kind of disappointed. It just wasn't, the scene wasn't really too significant. I mean, you know, Tatum's just kicking the shit out of Ben, and then it just ends with Tatum knocking Ben out, but not before he just discovers that Tatum is Rubber Man. But I guess that's an important point. But I've seen episode 11 now, so Ben knowing Tatum is Rubber Man, it doesn't affect the storyline at all. It just doesn't change anything. I guess you could argue that it kind of made Ben more it just made Ben want to leave the house more. I can't think of the word right now, but it just made Ben want to leave the house more. I can't think of a certain word I'm trying to look for, but yeah, I guess you could argue it was significant in the sense that it encouraged Ben to leave the house, because he's kind of thinking, okay, a bunch of psychos live around us, we gotta leave now. And of course that's what he tries to do in episode 11. Okay, so there you go. That's my point about just a little discussion. Oh yeah, and by the way, that fight scene was really cool. It was fun to watch. Okay, so the big moment of the episode, the twist, that Violet has been dead since episode 6, when she swallowed the pills. I'm not gonna lie, I spoiled this for myself. This time it wasn't bloody disgusting being retards, it was just my fault. I just spoiled it for myself. I was like browsing YouTube clips, and the title was something along the lines of "You're dead, Violet," and they were like quoting Tatum, so I kind of assumed from the video title that Violet's been dead all along, so I can't comment on how well they did the twist. Like, I can't comment on how predictable it was or how clever it was, because I knew it. I knew she was dead all along, obviously. So I obviously picked up on all of the hints. So, of course, this is coming from the perspective of someone who was watching the episodes knowing that Violet was dead all along. But I would like to think, of course I picked up on this hint because I knew she was dead all along, obviously, but I would like to think I would pick up on the clue and realise, because they make a big deal about her not going to school. I mean, they keep going on and on and on about her not going to school. I just thought that was a really big giveaway, and I would like to think I would have caught on to that, because the cop and Ben, they just go on and on about her not going to school. I thought that was a pretty big giveaway, so I would like to think that I would have caught on to the twist at that point. But either way, it's a cool thing, because it's nice that, like I said before, it's nice that they're not scared to kill off the main characters. Oh boy, we sure found that out in episode 11. I'll get to that later, but it's nice that the show isn't afraid to kill off the main characters. I mean, yeah, forget about the parents, they're not going to kill off them, they're going to kill off the little girl. Well, teenage girl. So, yeah, it was just great that they've killed off a main character so soon. But of course, because of the nature of the show, that the characters become ghosts, it also allows the character to still remain in the show. So, yeah, but yeah, it's great that they've killed off a major character so early on in the show. Yeah, so that's great. Alright, this is... Oh yeah, okay, so when Violet's trying to leave the house, so she tries to leave the house, and then she kind of gets teleported back into the house. When they showed that, I thought that was a really cool scene. So basically, we learned the rules of the house in this episode. We already knew that the ghosts have the power to go invisible or appear whenever they want into people. And of course, they can physically interact with people. Like Tatum's murdered a bunch of the guests of the house. Well, owners of the house. But in this episode, we learn that if one of the spirits tried to leave the house, they don't go to hell. They don't die. And you know, a ghost can't die. I know that, but I'm saying, okay, I'll get to that later. But basically, if the ghost leaves the house, they just get teleported back inside. So we learn that. That's kind of like the one of the rules of the house that we learn in this episode. So this just made me think about episode... Let's go back to episode 4. I'm not one of those people who missed this. Yes, I know that on Halloween the spirits can leave the house. So they kind of get a once a year deal to leave the house. Once a year they get 24 hours to leave the house. And then when Halloween ends, they're inside the house again for the rest of the year. But this is my question or observation. So Hayden was in the police car and the sun came up, so Halloween ended. So all of the spirits, I guess, she got teleported back to the house. Well, she must have, because she was like brought all the way across the other side of town in the police car, and she was in the police car up to the point where he parked the car and the sun was coming up. So the cop just parks the car, and then he looks into the back. He looks to the back seat. She's there. He looks away, and then he looks back the next second, and Hayden has disappeared. So she's been teleported back to the house. So she's been teleported back to the house. So here's my point. The ghosts make the effort to walk back to the house, or at least if my memory serves. For example, the people that Tatum killed at the school shooting, I guess they are stuck in some other place, I guess. Maybe the school. Maybe they're haunting the school, I don't know. They certainly didn't die in the house, they died in the school. But they clearly have their own like haunted location that they are trapped in. Which, it has to be the school, I guess, because they were killed in the school, so I guess they can't leave the school. Unless it's Halloween, of course. But they were pretty desperate on trying to get the truth out about Tatum, like trying to get him to admit that he killed them. I guess that releases them from their ghost form. They go to heaven or wherever they go. yeah, they stop being a ghost, I guess, when he admits that. And they were pretty hell-bent on getting him to admit that, obviously, if you've seen the episode. But when the sun starts coming up, the girl's kind of like, guys, the sun's coming up. And then they all walk away and leave. So they could have spent that remaining time trying to beat Tatum into submission so he admits the truth about him killing them. But instead, they just leave when the sun comes up. It's like, why waste that time? Why not just use the rest of the time to beat the shit into Tatum until he admits it? But instead they walk off when they could have spent the time walking back just beating up Tatum. I guess that's like a plot, well, maybe a plot hole, maybe a character decision. I don't think it's a fully blown plot hole, but it's still just a logic error in the characters, I guess. Because we've like Hayden's little situation in the cop car clearly shows they get teleported back to the house. Because I originally assumed that something bad happened to Hayden because she didn't appear in episode 7 or 6. I don't think she didn't appear in episode 7 or 6. It took her all the way up till episode 8 to appear, so I assumed she went to hell or she died, even in her ghost form she died, or went to hell or something. Because I assumed something bad would happen to you if you got caught outside the house when it's not Halloween. So I'm talking about, like, because I know if you try to leave the house, you just get teleported back inside. But I'm saying if it's Halloween, you can leave, so you leave the house, but then when the sun comes up, you die if you're caught outside the house when Halloween ends. I was assuming something like that, like you go to hell or something. But you don't, you just get teleported back, so why did the ghosts make the effort to walk back to the school? I guess that's like a logic error, but I don't care. Still an awesome show. Just a little mistake, I don't care. But another point is, why did everyone make the effort to walk back to the house? Okay, I'm not 100% certain on this. I'm 100% right and correct with the ghosts from the school walking back. Like, there's nothing anyone can say can defend what I've said. I'm very confident about what I've said about that. I'm right, I know. I'm 100% sure what I've said about the school victims walking back is correct. I'm not missing anything on that. But I might be wrong about the guests or the house. They make the effort to walk back, I think, because the shot is of them walking to the house. But I can't remember if they're on the front garden, which is the property of the house. So I can't remember if they were walking on the front garden to the house, or if they were walking from the streets to the house. Because they can't go on the street. We've established that. But I'm just saying, why did the ghosts make the effort to walk back to the house if they could just do what they want to do and get teleported back when the sun comes up? That doesn't really make much sense. However, I'm just saying, I haven't seen episode 5 for a while, so the shot might have began with them on the lawn walking to the house, or it might have began with them on the street walking to the house. Because my point is, if the shot began with them on the lawn walking to the house, that means they got teleported to the lawn of the house and they started walking into the house. Thus, that makes sense. However, if they were shown on the street walking to the house, then that shows, well, that's just like a little error or plot hole, I guess. Just why make the effort to walk back to the house? Okay, so now I finally got that over with. I think I rambled on about that for quite a while, maybe a bit longer than I should have. But next point. Okay, so final thing. This is the last thing I have to say about this episode. I mean, goddamn, this really pissed me off. As you all know, if you watch these reviews regularly, Larry's my favourite character. And of course, okay, so jump cut there. Okay, never mind. I thought I heard the door being rattled or something, I don't know. But anyway, what was I talking about? Okay, so Larry. Okay, so of course, Larry's my favourite character. I mean, who doesn't love his burnt face? His arm is constantly like that. Like, his arm is just stuck to his chest like melted cheese. So every time he walks around, his arm's kind of like that. His legs seem messed up because he kind of shuffles every time he tries to walk. And just the way he speaks and words his sentences, and just the way he delivers his lines. I mean, the actor Dennis or something, I don't know the actor's name, but the actor is great. I really love the character. He's just so fun to watch. I mean, who doesn't love this guy? He's just an awesome character. I really love him. He's like one of my favourite characters in any piece of media ever. But yeah, he's just a really fun character. And again, about the episode, we got to see him and Constance a lot. Like, that's what the episode focused on a lot. And I gotta praise the acting from Constance and Tatum. That was just great. Oh yeah, and I'll just say this before I get into the Larry portion of the review. Evan Peters is a pretty good actor as well. He's the guy that plays Tatum. Yeah, he's just a great actor. Okay, anyway, back to Larry, because I want to talk about him. Wow, I was pissed off after when the episode ended. Because, of course, they get rid of his character. I wasn't happy. This is episode 10. And then there's episode 11 and 12. They are the final episodes. And, of course, if they get rid of him in this episode, he's not going to be in the next episode. So, because I was left sitting there after the episode like, wait, so they're gonna have a series finale without Larry? What? I'm like, seriously, why? I love that character. Of course, it's good that they got rid of the character, because, well, you know, killing the characters is a good thing, because of course it increases the unpredictability of the show, and unpredictability is always good. Kind of keeps you on edge because you don't know which character they're getting rid of next. I was really pissed off about Larry. He's just somebody's fate I didn't know about. Like, I didn't know, I've spoiled a lot of things for the show for myself. Like Violet, the Violet twist, her being dead all along. That thing. It's just, I'm pretty suspicious. I know what happens to every character. I'm not sure if I've spoiled it for myself. I really hope not. It's a long story, but I kind of have a vague idea of what happens to every character. I can't be bothered to explain how I know. Like, it's not as simple as me, like, actually just reading it on Wikipedia or something. I can't bother to explain it, but I have a pretty good idea of what happens to the characters in the final episode. But with Larry, I had no idea what would happen to him. So it really caught me off guard when they got rid of his character in this episode. Wow. I mean, the scene where he was in the basement and saw his kids and his wife. I mean, like, we didn't really see his character we just haven't seen his character sad much. I mean, off the top of my head, he was only sad 3 times in the whole entire series. The first time was when he was... he saw his wife and his kids burned to death. That's when he was sad, because he was like screaming, and of course, if you saw your wife and kids die in front of you, of course you're going to be upset. I mean, there was another time that Larry was upset. I can't remember when that was, but I'm sure there was another moment where he was upset. But after that, the only other time where he was upset was at the end of this episode, because of course they kind of get rid of his character in a really cruel way. Like, it wasn't just the fact that they got rid of the characters, how they got rid of him as well. I mean, it's just really sad what happens to the character. Like, I genuinely felt bad for the character. Like, I genuinely felt bad. I was actually sitting there wishing, you know, it's just that this wasn't happening. I genuinely felt bad for the character. I was really immersed into the show. His storyline was just really depressing. Oh man, it's pretty sad. Oh yeah, the second time where you see him depressed, sad, I think it's when he sees his dead wife in the basement, and he's kind of like, I swear to God, I'll make Constance pay for what she's done to you. And then his wife's just like, Constance hasn't done anything. It's all you. And then Larry's kind of just, and then she kind of disappears straight away, leaving Larry with that. And Larry's kind of just standing there alone in the basement. I'm pretty sure he was sad at that point. And it's just, the way Larry does things is just lovable as well in his actions. Like his reaction to Travis asking him to gather a bunch of newspaper clippings on his death, because like he wants to keep a little scrapbook of what the media says about him, and he's kind of like, oh, will you do this for me? And Larry's just kind of like, yeah, sure. Like the way he kind of did that, kind of responded, I thought it was pretty, you know, just pretty. It's just made this character kind of likable, the way he reacted to that, and his reaction to seeing his kids, of course. Apparently, that was the first time he ever saw his kids as ghosts. Yeah, his reaction to seeing his kids as ghosts, they were pretty. Just made his character more sympathetic, I guess. I mean, he's clearly nuts. I mean, the character is clearly mental because he killed Hayden. He got pretty crazy over $1,000. Just stuff like that. He's clearly a psychopath, but not 100% psycho. I mean, he does have some sense in him. And of course, he redeems himself for all of the sins he's committed by confessing to the murder of Travis. So they put him in jail, and the episode ends with him in jail. So that's what they've done to his character. They put him in jail. So they didn't kill the character, they put the character in jail. Either way, his character is permanently gone. I really can't see him appearing in episode 12, because of course I've already watched episode 11, and he wasn't in it, of course. So his character, I'm pretty confident he's not going to appear in episode 12. I mean, why would he? I mean, it's going to revolve around Ben and Constance in episode 12, and Larry's in prison, so goodbye Larry, I guess. So the scene was just so... The final scene of the episode is Larry in prison. So he confesses to Constance's murder. Well, Constance didn't... So basically, for those of you who haven't seen the show, Travis was killed. The police suspect Constance, and they are about to have Constance arrested for Travis's murder, which she didn't commit, because Hayden did it. But Larry saves Constance and confesses to the murder. I mean, he didn't kill Travis, Hayden killed Travis in episode 9. But Larry saves Constance by confessing to the crime that he didn't commit. And yeah, so he's in prison. And Constance visits him. And it's a really depressing scene. And you're just left thinking, what a bitch at Constance, because it made her character really unlikable. I really hate Constance now. Because of course Larry had a romance with Constance. He loves her, and she doesn't love him. And she doesn't, like, in this sort of situation, if it happened in real life, the decent thing would be, the decent thing to do if you were the woman would be to humour Larry. Because for those of you who haven't seen the episode, Larry's sitting there, he's already arrested, but Constance visits him, like in the visitor room or wherever. But she's like, you know, he's explaining why he confessed to the crime. And Constance doesn't even say thank you. She just doesn't give a shit about Larry. And Larry, she's like, you're gonna die in here. You know, you got a life sentence. You're not gonna get out. You're gonna die in this prison. And Larry's just like, I don't mind. I can endure it all if you just say those words. I love you. I know you loved me once. Say it again. He says something along those lines. And Constance, so he puts his hand against the glass, and then she puts her hand against the glass very slowly as well. So they're kind of touching on the glass. And of course, you just know where the scene's going. Like, it just makes it really painful that they do it so slow, build up the tension. But throughout the whole entire tension, as they build up, you know what's going to happen. You know what Constance is going to do. You know how cruel the show is and how cruel that character is. So you just know what she's going to do. So of course, Larry wants her to say I love you. If you haven't seen the show, me describing it doesn't do it justice. You really got to see the scene to understand the tension and how much sympathy you have for the character, and the massive speech Larry gives on why he confessed to the crime and how sympathetic his character has become to be. So me just describing this doesn't do it justice, but so you have the build up of her putting her hand to Larry's hand in the glass, and of course he wants her to say I love you, and you just know she's not going to do it, and she doesn't. So that's what's so sad. Because, of course, Larry takes so many things so well. For example, in episode 7, Constance was just insulting Larry in the basement. Like, I bet all the kids scatter when they see your face. You're disgusting, you're hideous. She just bombards him with insults constantly. Every time she sees him, but she still doesn't care. But, I mean, during that time, Larry didn't care. Like, he had a massive smile across his face, even when she was bombarding him with insults, and that kind of made him more lovable. That's another one of the lovable things about him. His reactions to other characters saying stuff about him, like Constance saying all that mean stuff to him. He just doesn't care. He was kind of just smiling. It's amazing. I just really like this character. Just the way he handled that just made him even more likable, I thought. But you can see that even Larry was affected by this when Constance moves her, she puts her hand against him, and Larry's kind of smiling because he actually believes that Constance is going to say it, and then she takes her hand away. She kind of has this really smug look on her face. She puts the phone down and walks off. Like, no, she doesn't look back over her shoulder. She just puts her hand away, has a massive smug look on her face, puts the phone down, walks off. And Larry's just left, just sitting there in the dark on his own. And when, again, great actor, whoever plays Larry Dennis or something, the look on his face, you can tell it hit him like a bombshell. Constance constantly insulting him throughout the series. He doesn't care. But her not saying I love you when he needs it the most, you can see he's about to burst into tears. As soon as she moves her hand away from the glass, that's when his facial expression and everything changes, and that's the third and last time we ever see him sad. It's just seeing you don't see the character sad often, only 3 times in the whole entire series. So it's really depressing, just knowing that he's stuck in prison for the rest of his life. There's nothing he can do about it. He did this for Constance, and she doesn't even have the decency to humour him. Like I said, the good thing to do if you were Constance, the decent thing to do would to just humour him. I mean, clearly Constance doesn't love him, but the idea is just to humour him and just say I love you anyway, just to satisfy his needs, I guess. But she just doesn't give a fuck. She walks off. It's just so depressing, because like any decent human being would say I love you just to humour him, but no, she's just like, whatever, I don't care that you just confessed a crime for me. She just walks straight off. And Larry, as soon as she puts her hand away and starts climbing to her feet and walks off, Larry is kind of just, you know, his eyes and everything, you can see he's about to burst into tears. And the episode ends right there. I was so pissed off, man. And he's not going to appear again. He's certainly not appearing in episode 12. I mean, a finale without Larry, what the hell? That kind of made me a tiny bit less excited for the finale, but still, I'm still looking forward to it. Okay, so that's my thoughts on episode 10. Great episode, a lot more actiony, and the story was a lot more focused than episode 10. Like I said, episode 9 was more of a character episode. Nothing wrong with that, I'm fine. But episode 10, like, yeah, it was a character episode, sure, like all of them are. But it was, it moved the story on a lot more at the same time. Because of course, they reveal stuff like Violet's dead all along. Ben finds out that Tatum is Rubber Man. And Larry, they get rid of Larry. Okay, so yeah, there you go. And now episode 11, I really have nothing to say about this episode. I don't know what to say. I kind of sat there because this piece of paper, I write notes on what I can say, and I kind of stem my little topics from just a few words I've written down. So by here I only thought of 3 things to say about episode 12. No, episode 11, sorry. Episode 12 is the final one. But episode 11, so it's just birth. Vivian giving birth. That's pretty much the whole entire episode. I mean, the first half of the episode is kind of like the build up to it, and then literally the last half of the episode is just Vivian giving birth all the way throughout. And yeah, it was a great episode. All of the episodes have been great. There hasn't been a single episode that I haven't liked or felt has been lacking something. All of the episodes have been awesome, and same for this. It's just like, I don't know what to say about it. It's just an awesome episode. The bitch off between Constance and the gay guy. I think he's Chad. I think his name's Chad. I don't know. One of the gay guys is called Chad, definitely. So yeah. The gay ghosts are awesome, of course. They're like one of my favourite ghosts. So of course they're planning on stealing the twins, or at least they were. So they're planning on stealing Vivian's baby, just as every single person in the series is. I mean, every single character is trying to steal the babies. So I guess this is kind of the conflict in the finale that we are dealing with. So it's just one thing, I just didn't buy the gay guys being evil. I mean, the gay guys, they were really sympathetic in the other episodes. We saw the ghosts in episode 5. We saw them in the flashback in 4, and then we see them in more flashbacks in episode 8. Like, their death was really tragic after seeing more of them in episode 8, because we get to learn the true backstory behind them and why Tatum killed them and stuff. So their deaths were unnecessary. I mean, in the universe of American Horror Story, for the story of American Horror Story, it was necessary. But I'm saying it was unnecessary for them to die to like the human beings, because like Tatum killed them, but it's kind of like Tatum is just this psychotic asshole killing people. Like, he's just a dick killing people. So that kind of makes the death more tragic and unnecessary. But to the story, it's necessary, if you know what I mean. So it made them more sympathetic, but in this episode they suddenly become evil because they want to rob Vivian's baby, and I didn't buy them becoming evil. I just couldn't watch. I just didn't believe these characters were this evil. I just didn't buy into it. And another character I didn't really think worked well when she became evil was Nora. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right. You know, the girl who blew her husband's brains out in the flashback? The wife of the surgeon, the blonde hair girl, she wants the baby and she gets the dead baby towards the end of the episode. So it's just, I didn't buy her becoming evil either. Because of course they're trying to build up every character wants the baby. So the gay guys want the baby, I didn't buy them becoming evil because they're suddenly really bitchy towards the characters. And they were really nice in the other episodes. They were really like harmless and just really fun to watch, but they just turned into assholes all of a sudden. And so did Noah. I mean, she didn't really appear much. We only got a few lines out of her throughout the whole entire series. Her ghost has appeared a few times, but only for like a few seconds in every episode. But I didn't buy her becoming evil all of a sudden. Just her going, like in the opening scene where she's kind of like, that baby is mine, and then it cuts to the opening titles. I just didn't buy her. Her suddenly trying to put on this evil persona. So the evil persona the gay ghosts and Noah put on for this episode didn't really, I don't know, it didn't feel natural to the characters to me. From what I had seen of them in the other episodes, I just couldn't buy these guys becoming evil all of a sudden. It just didn't feel natural. It felt a bit forced, but that's just my opinion. Like, sure, maybe some other people feel differently, but this is just the way I felt about the characters. But again, it didn't majorly piss me off or anything. It didn't ruin my enjoyment of the episode. I still really enjoyed it. I'm just saying. Okay, so next point. I've only got one more thing to say, but I can think of a few more things. Like, I got one more thing written down here for me to say, but I've got a few more things in my head. So firstly, I wasn't too fond of the inclusion. I mean, it didn't work anyway, but they bring in the psychic and she explains how to get rid of the ghosts, because Vivian and Tatum are trying to figure out how to permanently get rid of the ghosts. And so they call in the psychic and she just explains some bullshit about some ancient ritual about gathering an object which is really close to a spirit, and then burning it, and then shouting Krakatoa or something. I can't remember the word, but basically you gotta burn what's important to the ghost, like an object. You gotta burn it and shout Krakatoa or something like that. Some really retarded word. I really didn't like that part, but you shout that out and then it kind of banishes the ghost from, well, I don't know, from the location. I don't know, where does the ghost go? I don't know, but it kind of just sends the ghost to hell or something. It basically gets rid of the ghost. So you burn a special item belonging to the ghost, shout Krakatoa, and the ghost goes. The ghost is banished. So this subplot kind of is introduced for this episode only, And I was just like, what the hell? Where's this coming from? I don't know. It just didn't feel like American Horror Story to me. The whole like tribes flashback, the flashback to the tribesmen, it just didn't feel natural. It felt really out of place. It just didn't feel like American Horror Story to me. I didn't really like the inclusion of that. And it didn't work anyway. I know that because Violet tries to do this to one of the gay ghosts, but it doesn't work. It turns out it's all bullshit and it doesn't work. So like I know it did, so it didn't work anyway, but that doesn't stop me from complaining about the fact I didn't really like it. The flashback just didn't feel like American Horror Story to me. But again, it's not a major complaint. It didn't make me hate the episode. I still really enjoyed the episode. Like I'm just criticising it. Like there's probably some die-hard American Horror Story fans getting really pissed off. I'm criticising. Yeah, God forbid I criticise one scene, but for me it just didn't work. The whole tribesman thing. So another thing which I was sitting there like, it's one of those moments which is really awkward to watch. You know how sometimes films and TV shows have really badly acted lines or really shitty written lines, which are, you feel uncomfortable and awkward just to listen to the line, and you're like cringing in your seat at how shit the line is, and you're just like, oh man, that's horrible, I hate that line. You know, when you're kind of like that. I mean, in some cases lines are so bad they're awesome and you can kind of laugh along with them, but some lines are they're bad in a sense that they're just really awkward and uncomfortable to listen to, and you're just cringing in your seat like, oh my god, that's horrible, I can't listen to that. Because this one line in the episode that made me react like that. I just felt really awkward sitting there. I was like, why am I watching this? I kind of had that reaction. I heard the line and I was kind of like, ugh, why? You know, I was like, why am I would be embarrassed to be seen watching this. I felt embarrassed that I was watching this after that line came up. I am definitely overblowing this. I will just say this. I am definitely over exaggerating this line. I mean, it's a shitty line, but I'm kidding. Like, I'm not embarrassed to watch it. It was kind of embarrassing in the moment though. The fact that the writers actually included this, I was kind of like, what? Did they just actually have that line? Who thought that was a good idea to write this line in? I'm definitely overblowing this. I'm probably the only person in the world that even picked up on this line. But this is just me. This is what I thought was kind of like, what the hell? I was kind of sitting there like, what, you know, I just couldn't even believe it. Okay, so anyway, what is this mysterious line, you're wondering? What is this massive build-up to this line? What is this line which made you cringe so much? I've over-exaggerated this, so should I even say it now? I've overblown it so much, it's going to be a letdown when I actually reveal what the line is. Okay, so Violet, she's trying to get rid of the gay guys. She throws the watch into the furnace. She shouts Krakatoa at the gay guy, and he, of course, that's when they find out it's not bullshit, it doesn't work. And he plays off that it's actually working. He's kind of like shivering, looking up, and his body's going into spasms, and then he stops and just starts laughing. Of course, he's just messing around trying to trick her into thinking it worked, and of course it didn't actually work. So in this scene we find out it's all bullshit, and he stops spasming. He's just like, you know, he's laughing, he's like, ha ha ha, I got you, didn't I? He's just, you know, he's clearly faking it, and he's just faking it, like I said. But he walks up to Violet laughing and shit, and she's kind of standing there with a look of disbelief on her face, and she says, here's the massive build-up we've been waiting for, well, the line we've been waiting for after all this build-up. So she goes, she's just staring at them with her mouth hanging wide open, like really shocked that it didn't work. And she says, it didn't work. It's like, what? Like, really? I'm sure I'm overblowing this line. I mean, we all have our own tastes, we all react to different things, and I'm sure that I'm like the only person in the world that actually reacted this much to this line. But I've got to point this out. I mean, this is my review, I've got to point this out. This is just, like I said, we all have our own tastes, we all react to different things. So a line like this, you probably didn't even pick up on. It really hung around in my brain for a while. So it's just like, yeah, of course it didn't work. Why, like, did the writers include this line because they thought the audience would be confused? Like, yes, we know it didn't work. Like, who is dumb enough not to realise it didn't work and it's all bullshit? I mean, Violet's saying it didn't work. I was just like, oh my, I just can't even bear that line. Okay, so I've talked about that line, way too much. I've overblown that line a lot, I know. But I still thought it was kind of annoying. Okay, so let's move on to something else. Yeah, what else can I talk about? I have nothing else to say. Okay, so I've gone through all of my notes pretty much. Okay, okay, let's see if I can think of anything else to say very quickly now. I don't want to be going for too long now. One thing off the top of my head right now I can think of is well, Vivian dies. Spoiler. You would have left ages ago if you didn't want spoilers. But yeah, Vivian dies. So the writers of American Horror Story, they've clearly taken a note out of the writers of Saw, which is kill every character. Yeah, I'm kidding. I know Saw left one character alive at the end. Well, two. Bobby, Dr. Gordon. Yes, I know there's a bunch of survivors. I'm a Saw expert, don't worry. I know like people like Morgan, Addie, Emily, Shelby survived. But I'm saying the major characters of Saw were only Dr. Gordon and Bobby, and they were the only ones left alive. And like the writers were like, okay, fuck it, kill everyone. And that looks like what they're doing for American Horror Story. I mean, Violet, they killed Hayden off in episode 3. Violet was killed in episode 6. They got rid of Larry's character in episode 10. Episode 11 killed Vivian. It's like, what the hell? Now, the only like, this isn't... And of course, they killed Addie off in episode 4. And for those of you who haven't seen the show and you're watching this review for the sake of it, like, this literally, I'm not exaggerating this, there's literally 2 characters left alive. Okay, there's 3. I'm not counting cops or anything. I mean, the 3rd character is the black guy, the security guard. But he's more of a minor character. I don't think he's going to be appearing ever again. I think he's just a one-off character to appear in now 2 episodes, like 2 episodes. I'm sure he's not going to appear again. I can't see him appearing in the finale. He's not an important character, so why would he appear? But but basically the only characters that we, the audience, give a shit about, like, this is ignoring all of the background characters that serve no purpose. Like, I'm ignoring all the background characters and stuff, but there's literally 2 characters left alive, Ben and Constance. Everyone else is dead. Ben's family, Vivian, Violet's dead. Constance's family and associates have been gotten rid of, or they are dead. Tatum, well, he was dead anyway. But Larry, he's gone. Travis is dead. I mean, they just killed off every single character. Now it's just Ben and Constance left. But it's cool. But of course, because of the nature of the show, like I said before, they can have the character. The characters are still there, but they're just dead. Because of course, if you're killed in the house, you can still appear. You're just the ghost. So they're still gonna have the characters there. But I'm just like, whoa! I'm just so surprised that they actually killed off the characters, because this kind of limits how much the character can appear, because they can't leave the house. And Ben and Constance are the only characters that can leave the house now. But yeah, I am really looking forward to the next episode. I mean, I stuck around to see the Next Time trailer, and it was awesome. This is I definitely think they're gonna kill off Ben. I don't know about Constance. I guess they'll probably kill her off, but I am 100% confident that Ben is going to die. I'm sure he's going to kill himself at the end of the episode. And this is one thing, because I was really pissed off. I was like really angry at myself. I was on YouTube and I saw a video title. Like, I was watching some American Horror Story clips, and on the right it had like related videos. And one of the thumbnail for the video, I didn't read the title, but the thumbnail for the video was Ben with a gun, and he's just like that with it. The picture, the thumbnail for the video was Ben with a gun, and he's just like that. So I was like, what the you know, I was so pissed off, because, well, if someone's doing that, what do you think they're going to do? Blow the brains out, of course. So I was really, well, I wasn't happy, because I just spoiled the death of the main character of the show. But thankfully, that doesn't seem to be the case, because in the Next Time trailer, they show you this. They show you Ben with the gun against his head. Like, he's drinking. Of course, if your whole entire family has just been killed and you have no one else left in the world, and you're in debt, you don't have any money, or not much money at least, killing yourself kind of seems logical. So Ben is shown, you know, he's drinking, and then it suddenly does a few flash frames with him with the gun. I think he sticks it into his mouth and then he puts it to the side of his head. But it's great that they show that in the next time trailer, because I was really pissed off thinking that he's dead. Like, right now I'm thinking he's going to die anyway, because I don't know, it just seems like the sort of thing American Horror Story would do to the characters, kill everyone. So I'm assuming Ben's going to die anyway. But when I saw that video thumbnail, I was kind of like really pissed off, because then that kind of confirmed my belief that he was going to die. But now I've seen the next time trailer and they show you him doing that in the next time trailer. It's kind of like, okay, so it can't be a big moment, it can't be a really spoiler worthy moment if they show you this in the next time trailer. Because of course they're not going to show you the death of the main character in the next time trailer. So I guess he's just he's kind of having a little think about whether or not he should commit suicide. But I guess he does. That's probably the opening. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the opening scene of the episode, him with the gun against his head. So I'm glad they showed me that in the next time trailer, because it kind of gave me a release. You know, it made me relieved that I hadn't spoiled it for myself. But I still think he's going to die anyway. I can't see Ben surviving the next episode. But again, the next time trailer was just so badass. This is another example of the UK trailer being so much cooler than the American trailer. A lot of the time the American trailers, they just show random clips of the episode. But the UK trailers, they kind of form some sort of narrative. So you kind of get the basic gist of the episode. For example, what I've noticed about the US trailers, most of the time, they just show you random clips of the episode. They don't have to make sense. They just kind of like show an explosion, show a gunshot, show action, show someone screaming, bang, trailer. Like, you don't know what's going on, you're just seeing a bunch of random images. But with the UK trailer, like, they're a lot more controlled, they're a lot more calm about it. And when they edit the trailers together for the UK, they actually think about and actually care about the trailer, so that it's not just like explosion, gunshot, action, fight, punch. It's actually some sort of narrative structure, so you do actually get an understanding of what the episode's going to be about. Unlike most, of course the word most, of the US trailers. But yeah, and this is just one of almost every single trailer being so much better than US trailer. Like, I can even talk about the trailers, just the UK trailer, like, I always kind of compare them in my head. So of course, like I said before, when the UK episode ends, I watch the UK trailer, then I log onto my laptop and watch the US trailer, to kind of compare them and get all the footage for the next episode in my head as like a fix for American Horror Story, because I get so excited for the next episode. But the UK trailers have always been better for the most part. Like in episode 7, the trailer for episode 7 got me really excited for it. It was done so well. It was the it was just stuff like it begins with Larry spinning around. He's like, they're selling the house, and then it cuts to the really cool next time text. Then it cuts back to Larry. He's like, they're tearing it down, and then you see Constance's reaction. You have the music playing in the background, and then you have the text popping up throughout the whole entire trailer, and it ultimately reads, when you piece it together, they'll do anything to save this house. And it's just showing stuff like Marcy with the gun, Moya saying to Constance, what do you want me to do? And then she's like, what you do best. And then you get like flash frames of like someone holding a gun aimed at the floor. And then you get a flash frame of Noah looking like really frightened. And then you get stuff like Larry screaming, I need this house. And stuff like Constance saying, you can't tear down the house. I'm just talking about the trailer here, but I can specifically remember the trailer for episode 7, the US trailer. It just showed a bunch of random stuff. People screaming, a ghost, Larry saying they're selling the house. That's like the only sense of plot you had from the trailer. But everything else was just people screaming and just random shots. So you couldn't make out what the next episode was going to be about. But the UK trailers always give you a clear idea of what the story, the plot of the next episode is going to be. So I'm even reviewing the trailers here, like comparing the trailers for the UK trailer and US trailer. Like the UK trailers are pretty cool sometimes. Like I said, the whole "they'll do anything to save this house" like tagline for the episode 7. Combined with the footage they show you of everyone going nuts, so you're really getting the idea that everyone is going insane, everyone's going crazy for the house. It's just something like that. I really like the trailer for the UK one. I'm just saying, the UK trailers are so much better than US trailers, and I definitely agree in this case with the finale. Yeah, I'm not really reviewing the episodes anymore. You can quit the video now. I'm just rambling on here, and I'm not scared to admit it. I'm just rambling on about the trailers here. You can leave now. I'm not going to speak anymore about the episode 9, 10 or 11. I'm just talking about the trailer. So if you're interested in what I have to say about the trailers, stick around. But the trailer is so badass for the finale. The trailer for episode 12 is so cool. The UK one at least. The US one is just like same old random stuff. Well, actually, it wasn't too bad. But the UK trailer was so much better because it begins with Ben like pointing a gun at his head, ready to blow his brains out. Then it's like the series finale, and then you get to see stuff like Ben dressed up into the gimp suit, into the rubber suit, and he's like pointing a gun at someone off screen. I'm assuming it's Constance. I'm assuming he's pointing a gun at Constance. I mean, that makes sense. And of course you get stuff like him standing in front of Constance really aggressively, and he's like, you better lock your door and hope I don't come back. It's just when he says that, I'm really aggressively, I was just sitting there like, oh, this looks awesome. Like that bit was great. Him going, you better lock your door and hope I don't come back. And then he turns away and walks off. And he said something else which I thought was pretty cool. I don't know. Oh yeah, he said pretty passionately something like, "You've destroyed my family." I assume he's talking to Vivian. No, not Vivian. Constance. He says something like that very angrily. "You've destroyed my you've destroyed my whole family." He says something like that. Actually, that would make sense for him to be talking to Tatum. But yeah, basically, episode 12, the finale, the final episode, looks awesome. I really can't wait for it, and it's on in 2 days. That's great as well, because I kind of want to go online on the message boards and talk to people about it, to kind of discuss with the fans the show. But I can't do that right now because of spoilers, because America had this a very long time ago, and it's been extremely difficult to avoid spoilers as there is, and I've spoiled most of the stuff anyway. But yeah, and that's the end of my rambling there. That's what I had to say. That's the end of my review of American Horror Story Series 1, episode 9, 10 and 11. That was just episode 12 to go, so excited. And that's the end of my reviews and my rambling. So, if you watched this all the way through, thanks. I mean, I doubt anybody actually has sat through the rambling portion, or the whole entire review itself, but whatever. If you actually did, thanks for watching. That's all I have to say. Bye.